Marcus Hale felt the hum of the precinct lobby before he even stepped inside. Fluorescent lights buzzing, radios crackling, boots clattering like someone beating a warning into the floor. He was only here to deliver a signed review packet, one of hundreds he handled each week, but the moment the glass door side shut behind him, the room shifted. Conversations clipped short. Eyes flicked toward him, then away, like he was a shadow interfering with their routine. He straightened the crisp folder under his arm. In and out, he told himself. But Officer Trent Malloy blocked the path to the administrative desk. Shoulders squared, jaw set in the permanent smirk of a man who enjoys making other people stop. "And who are you supposed to be?" Malloy asked loudly, earning a few snickers from nearby officers. His hand hovered near his belt, not threatening, just reminding. This area is not open to visitors. Marcus swallowed the surge of heat rising in his chest. "I'm here for a document drop. Administrative only." Malloy looked him up and down like scanning for a barcode. Then he leaned in, voice cutting to the lobby noise like a blade. "You're nobody. Step back." The words struck harder than the shove Marcus had braced for. Behind the desk, the clerk froze. An officer glanced up. No one intervened. Marcus tightened his grip on the folder, and lifted his eyes to Malloy with a quiet, dangerous calm. Because today, for first time, the police department's promotion approval sat in his hands. And Malloy had no idea. Marcus Hale had walked into dozens of precincts across the state, but this one, Precinct 47, had a particular chill that settled into the bones. Maybe it was the lighting, too bright and sterile. Maybe it was the way conversations dipped whenever someone unfamiliar walked in. Or maybe, Marcus thought as he stepped through a glass door, it was the kind of place where people in uniform never expected to be questioned. He adjusted the folder under his arm, steadying his breathing. Today was supposed to be simple. A quick document drop, a signature confirmation, and then straight to his afternoon committee call. But the moment his shoes touched the lobby's linoleum floor, Officer Trent Malloy's voice slashed through the air. "Hey, you, hold up." Marcus paused, glancing toward the administrative counter, the place he always went. But Malloy was already moving toward him, boots heavy, expression made of stone and entitlement. "You lost or something?" Malloy asked. His tone was loud enough for 4 officers at nearby desks to hear. One leaned back, watching with interest, while another smirked into his coffee. Marcus kept his voice measured. "No, I'm here for an administrative delivery." Malloy stepped closer. "That's so? Because last time I checked, civilians aren't supposed to just wander around back here." "I'm not wandering," Marcus replied. "I know where I'm going." Malloy looked him up and down in a slow, deliberate sweep, the kind that wasn't checking for weapons. It was checking for worth. "That folder of yours," Malloy said, tapping his chin. "Who exactly told you to walk it in yourself?" "Administrative protocol." Malloy chuckled. "Yeah, protocol for who?" Marcus felt heat rising beneath his collar. Not anger yet, just the familiar tension that came whenever he was asked to justify his existence. "For the Office of Oversight," Marcus answered. Malloy blinked, unimpressed. "Never heard of it." "You don't need to," Marcus replied. "If you'll let me through." Malloy lifted a hand, palm out. "Nah. See, I don't know you. And you people are always trying something." "You people." The words registered like the click of a safety switch. A quiet ripple went through the room. Marcus steadied himself. "Officer Malloy, I just need a hand as to the front desk." "Front desk isn't for everybody," Malloy said. "Especially not for—" He stopped, lips curling. "Look, man, you're nobody here. So step back." Silence spread across the lobby like spilled ink. Marcus tightened his fingers around the folder. The corners bent slightly, betraying the pressure he tried to hide. "I didn't come here for conversation," Marcus said. "Only to deliver." "Didn't hear me?" Malloy cut in. "I said step back." The administrative clerk behind the glass window looked trapped between duty and fear. She opened her mouth as if to speak, then closed it quickly. Malloy's presence filled the space, blocking not just Marcus's path, but his dignity. The officer's hand rested on his belt, Not threatening, not overt, but undeniably intentional. Marcus drew in a slow breath. I'll stand where I am, and I will complete my delivery. Malloy leaned closer. Try me? Marcus exhaled. I don't want trouble. Oh, you already got it, Malloy said, grinning. Because around here, I decide who gets access. One of the officers laughed under his breath. Marcus stared at Malloy, really stared, into the smug confidence that came from a lifetime of unchallenged authority. He kept his voice low. You are obstructing a state administrative process. Malloy shrugged. And you are still nobody. The word slice, clean and deliberate. Before Marcus could reply, a voice called from behind the desk. Officer Malloy, he does have clearance. Malloy didn't even turn. I'll handle it. Marcus shifted the folder into his other hand. That folder you're dismissing contained promotion review documentation. Good for you, Malloy said, rolling his eyes. For your department, Marcus added. That finally made Malloy pause. Half a second, barely noticeable. A flicker of uncertainty crossed his expression before vanishing under a hard, practiced stare. He stepped aside, but only an inch. Drop your papers and go. Marcus walked forward slowly, refusing to let the moment rush him. He set the folder on the counter, signed the delivery slip, and thanked the clerk, who avoided his eyes. As he turned to leave, Malloy muttered, knew he'd fold. Marcus stopped. He didn't turn around. He didn't give Malloy the satisfaction. He simply said, I don't fold. I document. Malloy's brows knit. What's that supposed to mean? Marcus glanced at him, calm and steady. You'll find out. He walked out of the precinct without another word, the lobby's fluorescent hum fading behind him. The folder Malloy had mocked was now stamped, logged, and inside the system. And Malloy's name was on the list. Marcus sat at the long, oval conference table, the polished surface reflecting the muted glow of the overhead lights. The Office of Oversight didn't look like much. Gray walls, old vents humming, a coffee machine that wheezed louder than it brewed. But the decisions made here shaped every precinct in the state. Across from him, Director Eleanor Watts adjusted her glasses. All right, everyone, she said. Let's begin with the pending promotion files. We'll address commendations, complaints, and recommendations. A stack of folders slid across the table. The second one bore a name Marcus already knew too well. Trent Malloy. Committee member Ruiz opened the folder. Malloy's application cites courage, leadership under pressure, strong field instincts. Ruiz flipped the page. But I'm counting 12 civilian complaints in 5 years. Dismissed. Added committee member Dana Carter. Everyone. On what grounds? What's asked? Carter shrugged. Insufficient evidence, according to the precinct. Marcus leaned forward. Or insufficient willingness to investigate. The room grew still. Carter met his eyes. You know how these departments operate. They'll say citizens misunderstood procedures, or that the officer acted within training guidelines. Patterns matter, Marcus replied. A single complaint can be dismissed. 12 tells a story. Ruiz tapped the table. What story exactly? Bias? Misconduct? Attitude problems? Marcus inhaled slowly. All of the above. And something deeper. Let's close Malloy's file. Marcus, you've been quiet since we started. You met someone from this precinct yesterday, right? Anything relevant? He hesitated. There were 2 truths fighting inside him. One truth burned with humiliation, replaying Malloy's smirk, the piercing words, "You're nobody." The other truth was professional obligation. He chose the latter. I had an encounter, Marcus said carefully. I won't detail it because this process isn't about personal experiences. But I will say Malloy demonstrated serious issues with power boundaries. Ruiz looked up. Meaning? Marcus kept his gaze steady. Meaning that if this is how he acts with someone he believes can't push back, I'm concerned about how he treats citizens, especially those who look like me. No one spoke for a moment. Watts finally asked, Are you recommending a deeper review? Yes. Carter nodded slowly. We've seen officers like him before. Protected, insulated, praised by the right people. Ruiz leaned back. The precinct's leadership pushed his application hard. That alone should make us cautious. Marcus tapped the folder gently. He's confident, overconfident. Men like that don't believe consequences apply to them. Ruiz smirked. You sound like you've seen that firsthand. Marcus didn't flinch. I've lived it my whole life. Silence returned, not uncomfortable, but reflective. What spoke next? Let's examine the other documents. Carter, read the complaint summaries. Carter flipped the file open again. Complaint number 4. Officer displayed aggressive behavior during a routine traffic stop. Dismissed. Complaint number 7. Unnecessary escalation during questioning of a teenager. Dismissed. Complaint number 11. Used demeaning language toward black driver during citation. Precinct marked complaint as unsubstantiated due to lack of audio. Marcus's jaw tightened. Convenient how body cameras malfunction most when it matters. Ruiz sighed. Half the precinct's body cams allegedly malfunction. That's not malfunctioning, Marcus replied. That's culture. What scribbled notes? Marcus, do you believe Malloy is a product of that culture or an enforcer of it? He didn't answer immediately. Finally, both. Carter set the file down. We need objectivity. Personal stories can't drive decisions. Marcus nodded. Agreed. Which is why I'm recommending we examine his disciplinary history, command evaluations, and unofficial records. Ruiz raised a brow. Unofficial. Marcus exhaled. Every precinct has whispers. Retired officers, clerks, community leaders, people who've seen things they were never allowed to report. What's folded her hands? We'll gather everything. But Marcus, if you know something, even unofficially, we need to hear it. He hesitated again. Should he tell them Malloy called him nobody? Should he tell them the officer blocked him with the ease of someone who'd done it many times before? Should he tell them that silence in the lobby felt heavier than the words themselves? He shook his head. What I know would only shift this from review to personal dispute, and I won't compromise the process. Ruiz nodded approvingly. Respect. But Marcus didn't feel proud. He felt tired. Carter continued flipping pages. His last commendation came from a lieutenant known for pushing through his officers' promotions. Might be favoritism. Might be politics, Ruiz added. Or both, Marcus said softly. What's rubbed her temple? What about the community? Any outreach records? Carter shook her head. Minimal. His community engagement hours are technically fulfilled, but all through required events, nothing voluntary. Ruiz narrowed his eyes. No mentoring programs? No neighborhood watches? No community meetings? No, Carter replied. But several complaints mention intimidating tone, dismissive language, confrontational behavior. Marcus looked down at his hands. Some officers treat community engagement like a checkbox. Others treat it like an inconvenience. Officers like Malloy treat it like a threat. The room absorbed his words. What's broke the silence? Recommendation? Ruiz answered first. Hold the file. Launch a deeper review. Carter nodded. I'm in. They all looked to Marcus. He chose his words carefully. Do not approve his promotion. Not yet. Not with this pattern. What's wrote it down? Motion carried. Malloy's file is officially under extended review. Marcus exhaled, not with victory, but with the ache of someone who knows this is only the beginning. As the meeting wrapped up, his phone buzzed. Voicemail. Unknown number. He played it. A low voice whispered. Malloy's asking questions. He's trying to find out who blocked him. Be careful. The message ended abruptly. Marcus stared at the screen, his pulse thickening. The committee room felt colder now. Carter glanced at him. Everything all right? Marcus closed the message. Yes, he lied. Just another reminder why this work matters. But inside, a new tension coiled tight. Malloy wasn't just arrogant. He was looking for him. And the game had quietly begun. The morning briefing at Precinct 47 was unusually tense. Officers shuffled in, tossing glances at Malloy, who stood near the front with his arms crossed, jaw grinding. His lieutenant, Harris, stout, gray-haired, and fiercely protective of his team, cleared his throat. Before we start, Harris said, I've been informed someone from the State Oversight Office came by yesterday. Malloy spoke before anyone else could. Yeah, some guy thought he could stroll through here like he owned the place. A few officers chuckled. What did he want? Officer Reed asked. Malloy shrugged, claimed it was an admin delivery. Looked like he was fishing for something. Reed frowned. Fishing? You know how they are, Malloy said, always digging for reasons to mess with good officers. Probably here to stir trouble. Harris raised an eyebrow. Did he say who he was? No, Malloy lied. Just that he had clearance. But I checked. Nobody from the state was scheduled. Reed nodded knowingly. Probably one of those complaint pushers. Malloy leaned in. He didn't look like oversight. He looked like someone trying to look important. A ripple of agreement moved across the room. In this precinct, skepticism toward outsiders was almost a badge of honor. The admin clerk, Emily, sat stiffly in the corner, hands trembling around her notebook. She had heard every word said yesterday. More importantly, she'd seen every expression. Malloy's posture, Marcus's calm resistance, the tension that could have snapped like wire. Harris turned toward her. Emily, you were at the desk, right? She swallowed. Yes, sir. What did he want? Emily's voice wavered. He had proper documents. He delivered them. Nothing unusual. Malloy scoffed. Nothing unusual? Emily, he walked in here acting like he had authority. Emily looked down. I just handled delivery, sir. Harris stepped closer, lowering his voice. Emily, we need your statement. If this man tries to file something, we need consistency. Consistency, she echoed. You know, Malloy said, smirking. Accuracy. Emily's stomach tightened. What do you want me to say? Malloy exchanged a glance with Harris. Just the truth, Harris said. That he seemed confused, maybe nervous, that you weren't sure he belonged there. Emily's eyes widened. But I didn't say that. You can, Malloy replied, for the department's sake. Emily tried to steady her breathing. I don't want to misrepresent anything. Malloy stepped closer. Emily, no one's asking you to lie. Just to help us clarify the situation. Her voice thinned. The situation? Look, Malloy said, if this guy sends a complaint about me, it'll be your word against his. And we need to match our statements so the department doesn't get dragged. Harris folded his arms. We're trying to protect the precinct. Emily didn't answer. Her silence felt loud. Malloy moved on, returning to his seat as though the matter were already settled. Harris began the briefing. Patrol assignments are the same as last week. And remember, any suspicious contact with civilians, log it. We can't have oversight breathing down our necks. Emily stared at her notepad but heard none of the briefing. Her pulse thrummed like a warning drum. Later, in the break room, Reed approached Malloy. So what's the big deal? One guy from the state office comes by and you're suddenly paranoid. Malloy scowled. Because this wasn't just some guy. He looked too calm, too deliberate. And you think he's connected to your promotion file? Malloy didn't reply. Reed snorted. Come on. Your lieutenant loves you. You're golden. No, Malloy said quietly. Something's off. I've been waiting months for that promotion update. And now some oversight guy just happens to show up the day before the review. Reed shrugged. Coincidence. Malloy shook his head. I checked the logs. Somebody is delaying my paperwork. Someone's watching. Reed raised his brows. You think he's the one? I don't know yet, Malloy said, but I'm going to find out. Across town, Marcus sat at his desk reading an internal memo when his phone buzzed again. Another blocked number. Another voicemail. He pressed play. A breathless voice whispered, He's asking about you. He's asking who came from oversight yesterday. Be careful. Click. Marcus leaned back, heart tightening. Someone inside the precinct was trying to warn him. Someone risking something. He whispered, Emily. He wasn't sure how he knew, but he did. His colleague Dana Carter poked her head in. You okay? You look tense. Marcus nodded, though his hands shook. Just internal noise. That precinct giving you trouble? He hesitated. They're circling themselves. Carter sighed. They always do. That's why oversight exists. Marcus stared at his computer screen. They don't see oversight as accountability. They see it as an enemy. That's because oversight threatens power, Carter said. And men like Malloy don't give up power easily. Marcus didn't deny it. He'll try to find me. He'll try to identify who interfered with his path. Let him try, Carter replied. We have processes, protections. Marcus shook his head. Processes don't protect men like me. Carter softened her tone. Marcus, he held up a hand. I'm fine, but we need to prepare. For what? Marcus looked toward the window, a reflection of his own unease staring back. For a department ready to rewrite their truth, he said. Back at Precinct 47, Malloy stood in the hallway with Harris. Lieutenant, Malloy said quietly, if that guy tries anything, I want his name. Harris nodded. We'll find it, and we'll handle it. Malloy smirked with cold certainty. A precinct protects its own, and they were preparing for war. Marcus stared at Malloy's personnel file again. The papers spread across his desk like pieces of a puzzle someone desperately wanted to hide. Complaint summaries, performance evaluations, commendation memos, witness statements, and lost body cam reports. They formed a picture clearer than any confession. Carter stepped into his office, holding a mug of coffee. You're still on that file? Marcus didn't look up. There's something wrong with how tightly everything's been sealed. This isn't normal. Carter raised an eyebrow. Normal for some precincts. He tapped the complaint list. Look at the spacing. Every 6 to 8 months, there's an incident. Different neighborhoods, different scenarios, same pattern, black men, escalations during routine stops, dismissive language, intimidation. Precinct 47's culture, Carter said. Nothing new. Marcus shook his head. Culture doesn't explain why so many reports were dismissed by the same supervisor. Lieutenant Harris, Carter murmured. Marcus nodded. He's protecting Malloy. Carter sighed. Or protecting himself. Marcus leaned back. Either way, we're dealing with more than a bad officer. We're dealing with a system that keeps men like him untouchable. Carter sat across from him. So what now? We dig deeper. Unofficial channels. Carter hesitated. You know what that means. He nodded. I know. Later that afternoon, Marcus met a retired sergeant at a small corner coffee shop. The kind with chipped tables and a bell on the door that rang too loudly. Sergeant Paul Lively looked worn, hair thinning, posture stooped, eyes darting nervously every few seconds. You want to talk, Lively said quietly, settling into the booth. Thank you for meeting, Marcus replied. Lively's voice stayed low. I don't like getting involved in precinct business anymore. This isn't business, Marcus said. It's about accountability. Lively gave a humorless laugh. Accountability? Son, I worked 30 years in that system. Accountability is whatever the lieutenant says it is. You worked under Harris, Marcus said. Unfortunately. Then you know about Malloy. Lively's jaw tightened. He stirred his coffee but didn't drink it. Everyone knows about Malloy. Marcus watched him carefully. Tell me? Lively hesitated long enough that Marcus wondered if he'd refuse. Finally, he sighed. Malloy's been protected since day one. Harris sees himself in the kid. Same instincts, same temper, same attitude. Lively rubbed his forehead. Complaints come in, Harris buries them. Witnesses scared off. Reports rewritten. Body cam footage lost. You think that's coincidence? Marcus kept his voice steady. I think it's orchestrated. It is, Lively said. Malloy is what Harris wants in a future leader. Loyal to the precinct, not the community. Marcus felt heat rising in his chest. Loyalty shouldn't excuse misconduct. Lively snorted. In that building, loyalty is currency, and Harris uses it like a shield. Marcus leaned forward. Sergeant, I need something concrete. Something that can withstand scrutiny. Lively shook his head. You won't get it. Not easily. Why? Because the moment you start digging, Lively whispered. The department closes ranks. They'll rewrite timelines, hide memos, correct witness statements. And if they can't erase the problem, he paused, lowering his voice further, they'll erase the people reporting it. Marcus froze. Are you saying they retaliate? I'm saying, Lively replied, staring into his untouched coffee, they don't like oversight. Marcus's breath tightened. I've already felt that. Good, Lively said. Means you're paying attention. Marcus steadied himself. I need something. Anything. Even one piece that shows Malloy shouldn't be promoted. Lively finally met his eyes. Look at his ride-along evaluations. The rookies he trained, some of them filed unofficial notes. They won't appear in the system, but they exist. Ask the training bureau. They keep archived drafts. Marcus frowned. Drafts? Before they're sanitized, Lively said softly. Marcus absorbed the implication. Thank you. Lively shook his head. Don't thank me. Don't involve me. I'm too old to fight their battles. You're telling the truth, Marcus said. That matters. Lively looked away. Truth doesn't matter in that precinct. Power does. Marcus finished his coffee, his mind already shifting to next steps. Back at the office, he sifted through the digital archives. Training bureau drafts weren't easy to access, but Marcus knew where to look. 5 evaluation drafts appeared under Malloy's record. He opened the first. Officer Malloy uses aggressive tone during community engagements. Trainee expressed discomfort. Crossed out. Another. Officer demonstrates bias towards certain neighborhoods. Rewritten to, officer maintains caution in high-risk zones. Another. Escalates unnecessarily during minor stops. Replaced with, shows strong command presence. Marcus whispered. Unbelievable. Carter poked her head in. Find something. Marcus turned the screen so she could see. Revisions. She scanned them, her eyes widening. This isn't editing. This is cover-up. It's a pattern, Marcus said. A deliberate one. Carter exhaled. We can use this. Marcus nodded. Malloy's promotion will be blocked, but this goes deeper. Carter looked at him. How deep? Marcus closed the file slowly. Deep enough that Malloy won't be the only one exposed. The email arrived at 9:14 a.m. Subject line clipped, formal, and oddly polite for a precinct known for hostility toward oversight. Request for evaluation interview. Officer Trent Malloy. Marcus reread the message twice. Malloy had requested a meeting with the representative responsible for delaying or reviewing his promotion. The wording was careful, too careful, crafted by someone coached to avoid sounding confrontational. Carter walked in just as Marcus exhaled. What's wrong now? He rotated the monitor. Malloy wants a meeting. Carter blinked. What? Why? He doesn't know it's you, does he? No, Marcus said. Not yet. Carter crossed her arms. Marcus, this is risky. He's unstable and cornered. Marcus shook his head. He thinks he can intimidate whoever is reviewing him. He expects to walk in, flash authority, and scare someone off. Carter frowned. And what do you expect to do? Sit there calmly while he tries to bully you. Yes, Marcus said, because accountability requires calm. She stared at him. You're not calm. You're trembling. He looked down. His hands were shaking. He hadn't noticed. It's not fear, Marcus said quietly. It's the weight. Carter softened. Marcus, you don't have to be the one to do this. Yes, Marcus replied, steadying himself. I do. The meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. in the oversight conference room, a neutral location, legally required, with cameras that couldn't be tampered with. Marcus spent the late morning reviewing Malloy's file again, memorizing the inconsistencies, the altered documents, the sanitized evaluations. At 1:17 p.m., he was interrupted by Director Watts. You're meeting with Malloy today? She asked. Marcus nodded. Watts lowered her voice. Be careful. Officers like him don't request meetings, they strategize. I know. Watts studied him. If you need me in the room. No, Marcus said. If he sees a full panel, he'll think he's being ambushed. Alone, he'll show his real face. What's exhaled? Then stay composed. And keep the conversation documented. Marcus lifted the small recorder. Always. At 1:52 p.m., he stepped into the conference room. The air smelled of old carpet and cool coffee. Sunlight cut thin lines across the table. He set out the file, the recorder, a pen, and a legal pad, though he already knew what he would say. Stay calm. Stay factual. Stay safe. At 2 p.m. sharp, the door opened. Malloy walked in wearing his full uniform, pressed, polished, deliberate. The badge glinted. His posture radiated superiority. He didn't recognize Marcus at first. Afternoon, Malloy said, sliding into the chair across from him. You the one handling my review? Yes, Marcus replied calmly. Malloy nodded stiffly. Good. I want to clear a few things up. Marcus pressed the record button. This interview is documented per oversight policy. Is that understood? Malloy shrugged. Sure. Whatever helps the process. Marcus folded his hands. Officer Malloy, this interview is an opportunity for you to respond to concerns regarding your conduct, complaints, and evaluation revisions. Malloy frowned. Revisions? What revisions? We'll get to that, Marcus said. First, state your full name and rank for the record. Malloy sat up straighter. Officer Trent Malloy, Senior Patrol. And you requested this meeting voluntarily? Yeah, Malloy said. Because I think someone's messing with my promotion. There's no reason for the delay. My record is solid. Marcus tilted his head. Is it? Malloy's eyes narrowed. Yes, it is. Then you shouldn't mind answering a few questions, Marcus replied. Malloy leaned back. Ask whatever you want. I have nothing to hide. Marcus slid a page forward. Complaint number 11. Allegation. Demeaning language toward a black driver during a citation. Malloy waved a hand. Unsubstantiated. Because the audio was missing. Technical issue. Marcus didn't blink. Technical issues appear frequently in your record. Malloy tensed. Look, if this is about that driver. It's about patterns, Marcus said evenly. Malloy bristled. Patterns? I respond to calls. High-risk areas. Tense situations. People misunderstand tone. Do they misunderstand being called boy? Marcus asked quietly. Malloy stiffened. I never said. Marcus placed another document on the table. Trainee evaluation draft from your ride-along. Before revision. Malloy's eyes widened. Where'd you get that? It's part of the review. That's not official. Marcus nodded. But it was written before someone rewrote it to flatter you. Malloy swallowed hard. You're twisting things. Marcus's voice stayed calm. Tell me why multiple trainees and citizens describe your behavior as confrontational or biased. Malloy's jaw clenched. I do my job. A job that requires integrity. And I have integrity. Marcus met his gaze. Then explained how calling a state official nobody demonstrates that. Malloy froze. Recognition hit him like a punch. His eyes widened as he leaned forward slowly. You, he whispered. Yes, Marcus said. You're the guy from the precinct. I am. Malloy's composure cracked. Why didn't you say something? Why'd you let me talk like? This interview is about you, Marcus said. Not me? Malloy's tone sharpened. So you're the one delaying my promotion. I'm the one reviewing it. Malloy slammed a hand on the table. This is personal. Marcus didn't flinch. No, this is professional. Your behavior makes it personal. Malloy's breath came hard. You tricked me. You revealed yourself, Marcus said quietly. All I did was listen. Malloy glared, face flushed with indignation. You think you can block my career? You think one meeting changes anything? Marcus kept his voice steady. This isn't one meeting. It's a record. Malloy stared at him, realization dawning. He wasn't in control. Not anymore. Malloy sat rigidly in the chair across from Marcus, every muscle locked as if bracing for impact. His badge glinted under the thin ceiling lights, but the confidence behind it had begun to falter. Marcus kept his breathing slow, calm. "We'll proceed," he said, pressing a fresh page onto the table. "Please describe your approach to de-escalation during civilian encounters." Malloy scoffed. "My approach? I follow protocol." Marcus lifted a brow. "Which version? The one you cite in reports or the one you demonstrate in practice?" Malloy's jaw twitched. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," Marcus replied, "that your reports emphasize control. Your footage," he paused, letting the silence weigh, "emphasizes confrontation." Malloy leaned forward, voice low. "Those situations were tense. You don't know what it's like out there." Marcus held eye contact. "I know what it's like to be on the other side of you." Malloy looked away for the first time. Marcus continued. "Have you ever considered that your behavior escalates situations unnecessarily?" "That's not fair," Malloy snapped. "Civilians make things worse. They don't listen. They don't respect law enforcement." Marcus kept his tone measured. "Respect is earned, officer." Then softly, and sometimes lost. Malloy clenched his fists. "So what, you think I'm some bad cop?" "I'm evaluating your conduct," Marcus said. "Not your ego." Malloy glared. "Ego? You think this is about ego? My career is on the line." Marcus nodded. "Which is why we must address the concerns clearly." Malloy slammed his palm against the table. "I've served with honor. I've risked my life. And you," he pointed sharply, "you're trying to sabotage me because of one misunderstanding." Marcus didn't flinch. "This review includes 12 complaints, 5 edited evaluations, missing camera footage, contradictory supervisor statements, and testimonies describing intimidation." "That's exaggerated." "Is it?" Marcus asked. "Explain this." He slid forward a complaint form. Malloy stiffened. "That driver was aggressive. The report says he asked why he was being stopped. He had an attitude. Your body language suggested hostility." Malloy scoffed. "Your interpretation." "The trainee's interpretation," Marcus corrected. Malloy froze. "Trainee? That rookie was incompetent." Marcus leaned back. "He described feeling unsafe riding with you. He was dramatic. And the citizen witnesses?" Malloy waved his hand dismissively. "People lie." Marcus nodded slowly. "Sometimes. But when every lie sounds the same, it stops being coincidence." Malloy pressed his tongue against his teeth. "You don't know what's real." "I know what's documented," Marcus replied. "And what you show me personally." Malloy bristled. "I didn't know who you were." "And that matters why?" Marcus asked. Malloy's eyes widened. Because if I'd known." "You'd have treated me differently?" Malloy hesitated. "Yes." Marcus nodded. "That's the problem." Malloy blinked, confused. "What?" "You believe respect is owed only to those with authority, not to the public, not to the people you're sworn to protect." Malloy clenched the edge of the table. "That's not—" Marcus interrupted gently. "When you thought I was nobody, you didn't hesitate to demean me. You enjoyed it. You used your position to humiliate." Malloy's face reddened. "I was following procedure." "Procedure?" Marcus asked. "Show me the page in your manual where officers are instructed to call civilians nobody." Malloy opened his mouth, but no words came out. Marcus continued. "When you believe you had power, you use it to belittle. Now that you know the truth, you want leniency. A beat. You want a promotion." Malloy's voice cracked with frustration. "I've worked hard for that promotion." Marcus nodded. "Promotions aren't rewards for longevity. They're acknowledgments of leadership." Malloy shook his head. "I am a leader." "Leadership," Marcus said softly, "requires accountability." Malloy fell silent. After a moment, Marcus turned to another document. "Your training officer wrote that you often escalate minor stops with unnecessary aggression." "Explain that." Malloy swallowed. "People challenge me." "Challenge isn't threat," Marcus said. Malloy's voice thinned. "I'm not wrong." Marcus spoke calmly. "This isn't about right or wrong. It's about pattern." Malloy stiffened. "You're framing me." "No," Marcus replied. I'm giving you a chance to speak for yourself. Malloy folded his arms, defensive. Everyone exaggerates. They all want to paint me as the bad guy. Then clarify, Marcus urged. Why are so many citizens, trainees, and clerks afraid to contradict you? Malloy blinked. Clerks. Marcus nodded. Yes. Malloy's posture faltered. Who said that? She did. Malloy sat back, stunned. Emily? Marcus didn't respond. Malloy's jaw tightened. She misinterpreted. She's timid, easily influenced. Marcus wrote something down. Noted. Malloy snapped. Are you even listening? Yes, Marcus said. I'm listening to everything. Malloy slammed his fist lightly on the table. This is unfair. You're trying to destroy me. Marcus's tone softened. Officer Malloy, listen to yourself. Every defensive answer, every rationalization, it reveals how you view your role. Malloy's eyes flickered. And how's that? Marcus leaned forward. As entitlement, not responsibility. Malloy inhaled sharply. Marcus continued in a steady voice. You have authority, but you use it like a weapon, not a duty. You believe obedience equals respect. You believe questioning equals threat. And you believe accountability equals sabotage. Malloy's breathing grew uneven. And that, Marcus finished, is the real reason you're sitting here today. Not because someone blocked your promotion, not because oversight is targeting you, but because your own record brought you here. Malloy slumped back, shocked into silence. Marcus gave him time. Finally, Malloy whispered, So what happens now? Marcus closed the file. Now we move into formal review. Malloy stared. You're recommending denial. I'm recommending the truth, Marcus said. Malloy leaned forward, voice strained. You think I'm racist? Marcus didn't answer immediately. He chose his words carefully. I think you treat certain people like they matter less. I think you believe authority gives you the right to decide who deserves respect. And I think you've never been challenged on it until now. Malloy swallowed hard. Marcus stood slowly, signaling conclusion. This session is complete. Malloy didn't move. Please, he said, voice cracking. Give me another chance. Marcus's eyes softened, not with pity but clarity. Accountability is your chance. He turned off the recorder. Malloy sat alone, breathing heavily, realizing, for the first time, that authority could slip from his grasp. And Marcus walked out understanding that the hardest battles were the quiet ones. The hearing room was smaller than most courtrooms, but the tension inside it gave the walls a kind of heat. A single camera blinked red in the corner, capturing every breath. Marcus sat at the center table, folders neatly arranged, pen aligned with the edge of the pad. Across from him sat Officer Trent Malloy, uniform stiff, expression tight, hands clasped so hard the knuckles whitened. Director what's opened the session. This oversight hearing will address concerns regarding Officer Malloy's conduct. Testimonies will be given under oath. All statements are recorded. Malloy glared at Marcus. This is unnecessary. What's ignored him? Call the first witness. The door opened, and a middle-aged man stepped in, shoulders slightly hunched. He wore a faded jacket and held his cap in both hands. Marcus nodded respectfully. State your name. David Rowan. And you filed a complaint involving Officer Malloy last year? Rowan swallowed. Yes. Malloy shifted. That complaint was dismissed. Quiet. What's said sharply. Marcus leaned forward. Mr. Rowan, please describe the encounter. Rowan hesitated, then spoke. I was pulled over for a broken brake light. Officer Malloy came to my window. I tried to explain I hadn't noticed it was out, but he kept shouting. Malloy rolled his eyes. I gave clear commands. Rowan's voice trembled. He told me I fit a description. I asked what description. He just laughed, said I was testing him. Marcus kept his tone calm. Did you feel threatened? Rowan nodded. Yes. I was shaking so bad I dropped my wallet. He thought I was reaching for something. Rowan's breath hitched. He put his hand on his gun. Malloy snapped. I followed safety protocol. Marcus turned to him. Your body cam malfunctioned that day, correct? Malloy stiffened. It happens. What's cleared her throat? Continue, Mr. Rowan. Rowan wiped his eyes. I filed a complaint. A week later, I got a letter saying it was unsubstantiated. No one ever talked to me. Marcus nodded gently. Thank you, Mr. Rowan. Your testimony is on record. Rowan left quickly, head bowed. Watts said, next witness. Emily entered the room almost silently, closing the door behind her. She wrung her hands and avoided Malloy's eyes. Marcus offered a reassuring nod. State your name. Emily Harper. You're the administrative clerk at Precinct 47? Yes. Marcus spoke softly. Ms. Harper, did Officer Malloy ask you to modify your statement regarding my visit to the precinct? Emily froze, eyes darting to Malloy. Malloy hissed, Don't do this. Watts shot him a warning look. Emily swallowed hard. Yes. Malloy jolted forward. That's a lie. Emily flinched. He said I should say you seem confused, that you might have walked into the wrong area. He said it would keep things consistent. Marcus asked, Did you feel pressured? Emily whispered, Yes. Did you believe telling the truth would put you at risk? Her voice cracked. I still do. Malloy leaned across the table. You're exaggerating. I never. Marcus raised a hand calmly. Officer, your interruptions are noted. Malloy sank back, seething. Watts said, Thank you, Ms. Harper. Emily hurried out. The next witness was younger, a former trainee. Nervous energy radiated off him. State your name. Daniel Knorr. He cleared his throat. I trained under Officer Malloy. Marcus asked, How would you describe that experience? Daniel hesitated. He taught us to take control of situations, but sometimes it felt like he escalated things on purpose. Malloy scoffed. You were soft. Daniel's face reddened. I wasn't soft. I was scared. Not of civilians, of you. Malloy pushed back his chair. This is ridiculous. Watts snapped. Sit down. Daniel continued, voice shaking. He told me if I questioned his decisions, I wouldn't last in the precinct. He said people respected strength, not hesitation. Marcus nodded. Did you ever file a complaint? No, Daniel said. I was afraid it would ruin my career. Do you believe others felt the same? Yes, Daniel said firmly. Most rookies did. Thank you for your honesty, Marcus said. Daniel stepped out, shoulders finally dropping. Watts closed the witness list. Officer Malloy, you may respond. Malloy stood slowly, palms pressed to the table. These people are lying. They're twisting things. Rowan was nervous. That's all. Emily misunderstood me. Daniel couldn't handle the job. His voice rose. I've given everything to this department. Marcus looked at him calmly. No one doubts your years of service. What's in question is how you use your authority. Malloy's voice cracked. This is a witch hunt. No, Marcus said quietly. This is accountability. Malloy's breathing grew unstable. You think you're better than me. No, Marcus replied. I think the public deserves better. Malloy stared at him, disbelief melting into something like fear. You're ruining my life. Marcus met his gaze. Your choices brought you here. Watts ended the session with a single firm tap of her pen. This hearing is adjourned. A formal decision will follow. The room emptied slowly. Malloy remained seated, trembling with rage and something deeper, recognition. For the first time, his voice didn't carry weight. The record did. By morning, the story had already leaked. Marcus arrived at the oversight office to find Carter standing beside the coffee machine, phone in hand, expression frozen somewhere between disbelief and exhaustion. You've seen it? She asked. Marcus hadn't. Seen what? She handed him the phone. A headline glowed across the screen. Internal review reveals pattern of misconduct at Precinct 47. Officer under investigation. Marcus exhaled slowly. So it's out. Not just out, Carter said. It's everywhere. As if on cue, Director Watts stepped into the room. Conference room. Now. Inside, a projector displayed a cascade of news clips. Reporters stood outside Precinct 47, microphones raised, capturing officers slipping in and out of the building. Carter pointed to the bottom ticker. They're naming the precinct, but not Malloy yet. But it's only a matter of time. Watts folded her arms. We did not release this information. Marcus shook his head. Then someone inside the precinct did. Why? Carter asked. To get ahead of the narrative? What side? Or to paint us as aggressors? A clip played. Sources inside Precinct 47 claim the Oversight Office is targeting officers, pushing politically motivated investigations. Carter groaned. Here we go. Marcus's jaw tightened. This is exactly the tactics Sergeant Lively warned me about. They rewrite the narrative. For now, Watts said, but not for long. We have documents. They have noise. Marcus stared at the screen, frustration simmering. Noise becomes truth if repeated enough. Watts shook her head. Not this time. The public is watching. Marcus wasn't so sure. Meanwhile, at Precinct 47, the mood was explosive. Malloy stormed into the break room where Reed and two other officers clustered around a television. Reed turned as Malloy entered. It's all over the news. Malloy snapped, and they're talking about misconduct patterns. People online are guessing names. Malloy's face flushed. Let them guess. They can't prove anything. Reed frowned, but someone gave them information. Someone inside. Malloy snorted. Or the oversight rats leaked it to smear me. You think Hale leaked it? Reed asked. Malloy's jaw clenched. He's been after me from the start. He wasn't even assigned to you until recently. Reed said. Malloy grabbed the remote from him. He talked to my trainees. He brought in citizens. He twisted their statements. Reed held up a hand. Careful. Cameras. Malloy tossed a remote. I don't care. But he did. Panic flickered in the corners of his eyes. Back at the Oversight Office, Marcus sat with Carter, reviewing documents for the afternoon briefing. His phone buzzed. Unknown number again. He let it ring once, twice, then answered. A familiar voice whispered, Malloy's furious. They're telling officers to keep quiet. And someone's shredding documents. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Who is this? The caller ignored that. Be careful. They're blaming you. The line clicked dead. Carter leaned in. What happened? Marcus ran a hand over his face. They're destroying evidence. Carter's eyes widened. We need to move fast. Watts entered just then, holding a folder. Carter prepped the packet for media release. Confirmed documents only. No speculation. Marcus blinked. We're releasing publicly? Watts nodded. Transparency is our protection. Carter whispered. This'll blow up the precinct. Watts replied, It should have blown up a long time ago. That afternoon, during the scheduled press briefing, the Oversight Office presented a clear, factual timeline. Complaint patterns, revised evaluations, missing body cam footage, inconsistent supervisor reports, concerns from trainees and civilians. No names were revealed, only findings. Reporters shouted questions. Is this politically motivated? Is the Oversight Office pushing agenda? Is this about race? Marcus stepped forward. His voice stayed calm and steady. This is about accountability. Nothing more, nothing less. Our findings reflect patterns, not politics. The citizens deserve truth. The officers deserve systems that uphold integrity. Our job isn't to punish. It's to ensure safety and fairness. A reporter asked, Are you afraid of retaliation? Marcus paused. Retaliation is a shadow that follows truth, but shadows don't stop daylight. Flashes erupted across the room. Meanwhile, in the precinct captain's office, chaos simmered. Captain Ruiz slapped a printed headline onto his desk. Lieutenant Harris, what is happening? Harris swallowed. Sir, the Oversight Office is exaggerating. Exaggerating? Ruiz barked. The state is releasing documents. Real documents. Malloy stood rigidly beside Harris, simmering with resentment. Ruiz pointed at him. You've put this precinct under a microscope. Malloy protested. Captain, this is an attack. They're twisting things. Are they? Ruiz asked. Or are they finally seeing what we've been blind to? Malloy froze. Ruiz exhaled sharply, rubbing his forehead. Internal affairs is coming. And they're not coming quietly. Malloy's face drained of color. Harris put a hand on his shoulder. Trent, stay calm. Malloy whispered. They're trying to ruin me. Ruiz corrected him. They're revealing you. Back at the oversight office, Marcus watched the news cycle shift. At first, the precinct had rallied behind Malloy. But as the documents rolled out, as testimonies began spreading online, something changed. Commentators started asking harder questions. Community members began sharing personal stories. Civil rights groups demanded deeper audits. And Marcus saw it happening in real time. A system built on silence was finally being heard. Carter placed a hand on his shoulder. You did this. Marcus shook his head softly. No, the truth did. But inside, he felt a tremor of what was still ahead. Exposure wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Marcus sat in the oversight board's conference room, the decision letter resting beneath his fingertips. Simple language. No embellishment. No politics. Just the truth, distilled into 3 decisive paragraphs. Promotion denied. Internal investigation initiated. Officer placed on administrative leave effective immediately. Carter entered quietly. Is that it? Marcus nodded. It's official. She exhaled. He won't take this well. No, Marcus said. He won't. At Precinct 47, Malloy paced the locker room like a caged animal. His badge gleamed uselessly in his hand. The letter crumpled in his fist. Reed entered slowly. Trent, you heard? Malloy glared. They denied me. Reed sighed. Trent. Malloy snapped. Don't Trent me. They destroyed my career. Reed closed his locker gently. This didn't come out of nowhere. Malloy's voice rose. You think I deserve this? Reed didn't answer. You do, Malloy hissed. You all do. They use lies, exaggerations. Witnesses. Reed interrupted. Documents. Patterns. Malloy's fists clenched. They're targeting me. Reed met his eyes. Maybe they're finally seeing you. Malloy froze, hurt flashing across his face. You're supposed to be on my side. I'm on the side of truth, Reed said quietly. And you cross lines. Malloy shoved past him, slamming the door as he left. Marcus walked to his car late in the afternoon, briefcase in hand, exhaustion settling into his bones. He reached the parking garage entrance when a shadow moved near the ramp. Malloy stepped out, uniform still on, eyes wild, shoulders shaking, anger, fear, something darker. Marcus's pulse quickened. Officer Malloy. Malloy spat the title back at him. Save it. You won. This isn't winning, Marcus replied. This is accountability. Malloy stepped closer. You think you're some kind of hero? You think exposing me makes you righteous. I think holding power accountable protects the public. Malloy barked a humorless laugh. Public? You mean people like you? Marcus stayed still. People like everyone. Malloy jabbed a finger toward him. You ruined my name. No, Marcus said calmly. Your actions did that. Malloy's face twisted. You could have buried it. You could have ignored it. But you wanted to punish me. Marcus shook his head gently. I wanted to protect citizens. You left me no other choice. Malloy swallowed, breathing sharp and uneven. Do you know what it feels like to lose everything? Marcus met his gaze. Yes. Malloy stopped. Confusion flickered in his eyes. Marcus continued, voice steady. I've lost opportunities. Safety. Respect. Because of men like the one you're becoming. Malloy stared at him. I'm not racist. You don't have to say the word, Marcus replied quietly. Your actions said it for you. Malloy's lips trembled. I just wanted to be respected. Respect comes from responsibility, Marcus said, not intimidation. Malloy closed his eyes, fists clenching at his sides. They're opening an investigation. I could lose my job. Marcus nodded. You might. Malloy swallowed again. His voice softened to a desperate whisper. What am I supposed to do now? Marcus stepped back a half pace, not from fear, but boundary. Face the consequences. Learn from them. That's the only path forward. Malloy shook his head violently. You don't understand. Then explain, Marcus said. Malloy's shoulders sagged. All I ever had was this job, this uniform. If they take that, I'm nothing. Marcus felt the weight of those words. You're more than a badge, but you have to choose who you'll be without it. Malloy looked away, tears threatening but refusing to fall. You hate me? I don't, Marcus said honestly. I want you to do better. Malloy took a trembling breath. I don't know how. That, Marcus said softly, is the first honest thing you said. Malloy blinked, stunned by the compassion instead of condemnation. Before either could speak again, security personnel appeared at the ramp. Everything all right? One asked. Marcus nodded. Yes, we're done here. Malloy looked at him one last time, anger fading into hollow uncertainty, then turned and walked away, steps heavy, future uncertain. Marcus watched him disappear down the corridor. No victory, no triumph, just the quiet ache of truth and the cost of carrying it. Marcus didn't sleep much after the decision. Accountability was not triumph. It never felt like victory, just gravity. Wait, a slow, aching recognition that systems built over decades didn't crumble in a single investigation. The next morning, he sat alone in his kitchen, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee gone cold. Sunlight filtered in through thin curtains, dust motes drifting like tiny ghosts. The world outside carried on. Cars passing, children chattering on their way to school, the distant bark of a dog. Life moved, but inside, Marcus's chest felt heavy. His phone buzzed. Carter's voice came through gently. Rough night. Marcus stared at the window. Long. You did the right thing. I know, Marcus said. It doesn't feel good. Justice rarely does, she replied. But it matters. Marcus nodded silently, though she couldn't see. Come in when you can, she added. What's want to debrief? Sure, Marcus said softly. I'll be there. The community center was only a block from his apartment. Marcus hadn't planned to stop by that morning, but something pulled him toward it, a need for grounding, for perspective. Inside, the old basketball court had been converted into a reading room. Posters lined the walls. Know your rights, history of civil rights leaders, community safety without fear. A group of teenage boys sat around a table with an older mentor, discussing something animatedly. When they noticed Marcus, one of them called out, Mr. Hale. Marcus blinked. Morning. The mentor smiled. They saw you on the news, you know, the oversight briefing clip. Another boy chimed in. You were calm, like really calm. Marcus chuckled lightly. Was I? Yeah, another said. If that was me, I'd be shaking. Marcus sat down beside them, lowering his voice. I was shaking. Calm isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing what matters despite fear. The boys exchanged looks. One asked softly, How'd you keep your cool when he confronted you? Marcus thought for a moment. By remembering the moment wasn't about me. It was about truth, about all the people who'd been hurt before and never got to speak. Were you scared? The youngest asked. Marcus nodded. Yes, but sometimes fear is a compass. It tells you a fight is. Silence settled, respectful, contemplative. Another boy leaned forward. Do you think he'll change? Marcus hesitated. Maybe, maybe not. Change isn't guaranteed. But accountability is the first step. And you did that, the mentor added. Marcus shook his head softly. We all did. Everyone who spoke up. Everyone who refused to stay silent. A boy tapped his notebook. I want to do work like you someday. Marcus smiled gently. Then learn to listen. Learn to question. And learn to speak when it matters, even if your voice shakes. Their eyes held his words carefully, like they were storing them for later. Later that afternoon, Marcus returned to the oversight office. The building hummed with subdued activity. Reporters had begun camping outside, though security kept them away from the entrances. Watts greeted him in the hallway. "Marcus, walk with me." They entered her office, where a stack of forms and letters lay waiting. She gestured to a seat. "Before we finalize the investigation handoff, I want to acknowledge what you carried." Marcus sat slowly. "The work isn't finished." "It never is," Watts said, "but you pushed something forward. Sometimes it feels like pushing a mountain." Watts nodded. "Mountains move one stone at a time." Marcus exhaled. "The system is still broken." "And today," she replied, "it's less broken than yesterday." He looked up. "Do you ever wonder if change is too slow?" "All the time," Watts said. "But slow change is still change. And your actions protected people who might have been harmed next." Marcus looked down. "It still feels heavy." "Good," she said. "If it ever stops feeling heavy, that's when you should worry." Marcus absorbed her words quietly. Watts folded her hands. "The investigation into Malloy will proceed with internal affairs. He'll have due process. And we'll oversee that process to ensure integrity. He might lose his job," Marcus said. "He might," Watts agreed. "Or he might learn from this. That's not our decision. Our job was to reveal truth." Marcus nodded. "And truth is painful." Watts smiled gently. "Truth is cleansing." After the meeting, Marcus headed toward the parking lot. The late afternoon light cast long shadows over the pavement. As he approached his car, he saw someone standing near the sidewalk. The retired sergeant, Lively raised a hand in greeting. "Marcus." "Sergeant," Marcus said. "What brings you here?" Lively shifted on his feet. "Wanted to see how things turned out." "We denied the promotion," Marcus said. "IA is handling the rest." Lively nodded, a tired smile tugging at his mouth. About time someone pulled the curtain back. Marcus studied him. "You all right?" Lively shrugged. "Old ghosts catch up. But seeing someone like you push forward," he looked Marcus in the eye, "gives me something like hope." Marcus felt warm stir under the exhaustion. "Thank you. Really." Lively glanced away. "Just promise me something." Marcus tilted his head. "What?" "Don't let them harden you. The system does that. You stay soft enough to care, strong enough to act." Marcus nodded slowly. "I'll try." Lively gave a small wave and walked off, leaving Marcus alone with the fading light and the quiet hum of possibility. That night, Marcus sat on his balcony, watching the distant city lights flicker like quiet affirmations. His phone buzzed with messages. Thank yous from community members, updates from the office, a single anonymous text that read, "Your courage reached us." Marcus placed the phone aside and closed his eyes. He breathed. Not victory, not relief, just truth, and the steady, resilient belief that justice, slow, imperfect, heavy, was worth carrying. The weight didn't crush him. He carried it forward, one step at a time.